Hello and welcome to Tip of the Tongue, a monthly advice podcast for voice actors, producers, and anyone else who wants to make projects on the internet. Everyone's got that passion project they've wanted to make since as far back as you can remember. This is where we help you learn how to make it happen. I'm Jello.
And I'm William.
I'm a graphic designer, illustrator, voice actor, writer, director, and producer.
And I do a mean Sean Connery impression. Today's episode is about demo reels, resumes, and portfolios. How to get yourself out there, noticed, and hired as a creative. This video will primarily focus on the voice acting angle, but these skills are useful no matter what field you work in when it comes to getting a job. Remember, all of these things are about making yourself look good without lying. You don't need to lie, you just need to know how to package things.
So I think the first thing we're going to talk about, because it kind of leads into the other two on our big three subjects of resumes, demo reels, and portfolios, which I'll put timestamps on the video and you can zip to whichever one you need.
Yes.
Especially demo reels, since that is mostly our area of expertise, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that one. But we're going to start with resumes. So as Will said, resumes are about making yourself look good, and you never should lie on a resume.
God, no.
But I guess for like, I don't know, maybe this is your first time you ever even heard of what is a resume. Should we do this 101 style?
I mean, yeah, if for some reason you weren't paying attention in high school basic writing class, but sure.
Yeah, I got some questions when I asked, like, hey, let's pull some questions that were very much like, what is a portfolio? And not in like that philosophy class major kind of way. So a resume is any, usually one, if you're smart, piece of paper that you hand your potential employers that's like, here is what I can do, what I have done, and why I would be a good asset in your company or business or project, whatever it is. So resumes are about making yourself look good. They are not about lying. You should never lie, but you need to learn how to advertise yourself based on your skill set. Do you like, and that can mean anything, like really twist stuff. So like, do you spend a lot of time online? Are you aware of how the memes work? That's social media expertise. Like you can really just like twist it anyway. Do you play TTRPGs and like D&D and stuff? Do you work as a game master? You can throw on organization, scheduling, people skills, management, game development.
Communication's big one you can toss in there.
Yeah. Like, God, I'm trying to think of like other stuff I've done that I could just easily be like, yeah, that's something. So, before I got any work, because I've been doing the stuff that I do on my channel forever, you can always do that as like, say I've got like a dumb webcomic that right there, or a dumb webcomic dub right there. That's like a million different skills you can cheese your way into a resume. So I don't know, you've got like video editing, audio editing, even if you kind of suck at it, you still have expertise. You'd be surprised like what can impress people, like knowledge of Microsoft Word, like that is enough. You can put that on there because there are people that don't know how to do that.
For some reason, people really like Microsoft Excel. If you're good at like making those dumb little tables of just like, oh, and then like,
yeah, that's really useful for like data entry jobs.
Yes.
So basically, when you're writing a resume, you want to write it like an overly proud parent talking about their child. Like, ooh, Billy won the baseball game back when he was 20, or back when he was 20. I still can't get a job. You gotta get out of the house, Billy. But like, let's take like
Hell Mama is too lenient.
Hell Mama, get out of here. No, Limbo Billy. Perpetual benchwarmer Limbo Billy.
Oof.
Limbo Billy sounds more like like some kind of folk hero of like the Everglades or something. Like, you know, I heard one time my grandpappy saw Limbo Billy come on through the swamp just walking through riding 12 gators. Feel free to cut as much of that as you want. Anyway, resumes.
Yeah, making yourself look good.
Like we're doing right now.
Oh, this is all you. I've done nothing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so basically put on anything on a resume that you are confident in, even if you have to like really twist it into from like I spend a lot of time online to social media expertise or social media expert or whatever. You you can put anything on there, but always be willing for the ever-present interview question, especially if it's in person, of, oh, can you tell me about this you put on your resume? Because I found that's where most of the conversation happens. That's how you sort of cement yourself in the interviewer's mind as a potential employee. It's also my favorite just because I like talking. I know a lot of people get nervous, but the more I can say to pitch myself is a lot better than putting it on a piece of paper. But so anything you want to talk about, you should put on your resume. And that doesn't necessarily mean like, yeah, I'm really proud of that. But like, yeah, I could talk about that in a way that would make it seem like I am a good person to hire.
Yeah, it also allows you to kind of expand upon the skills that you use. For example, in one of my resumes, actually to get this job, I mentioned how back in college I created, of course with help, a full audio play of a Lone Ranger script. So it was like a 20-minute thing. And I put that on my resume and they went, oh, hey, what is this about? I was like, well, this was a great opportunity for me to kind of work with different people, make sure that we're all on the same page for recording and scheduling and directing. It allowed us to really hammer down on like, hey, this is what you're going to be doing, this is what I'm going to be doing. And also just like making sure that it had the right sound effects, music, all that jazz. And it allowed me to expand on it more.
Yeah. And like, you don't even need to be like, yeah, like, oh, even if it didn't go that well, don't be like, no, it didn't like, let's be like, yeah, it was a great experience. I learned all of this from it. Resumes are all about learning how to twist things to sound positive.
They don't need to know it was a bad audio play or that it was a really bad experience. All they need to know is that, hey, I made this thing and for all you know, it went really great.
Also, like, they're never gonna like look up the weird play or the thing you made online. So like, just like that's never what they mean when tell me about it. It's always like, tell me the experience. Yeah. So this also works for portfolios and sometimes for demo reels, not usually, but again, remember you can twist things, even shit you did on the side or for a hobby. Like, I don't know if you did that for like school or whatever, Will, the audio play. Maybe I missed that if you said it. Sorry.
Yeah, it was just in college, yeah.
Yeah. But like, even if you had just done that in your free time, that is experience. It doesn't need to be like, I've never... That's always when I get a little annoyed whenever you see those posts where it's like, I can't get a job, like, you always need prior experience, and that's why, like, but I can't get experience without getting a job. It's like, no, that's not what it is. Experience is living life and doing anything relevant to anything. You don't need a job.
A job makes it easier, but...
Yeah, it does make it easier, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, no.
Like... we had I literally had like a class on portfolio building in my senior year of graphic design, and it was super awful and hard. But because it was just a really dense class, a lot of projects we had to make for the portfolio. But,
yeah, I bet.
But like a bunch of things, even within college, anytime as an artist, I had to pitch to like, hey, I want this to be my independent study. Here's how, like what I've done. Here's what I'm doing. Whenever I applied for anything art-wise or tried to make a connection online or in real life, actually, like I rarely used projects made for like college itself. It was almost always like, here's something I did for fun. You can look at it, and like that's the stuff you're passionate about, so it looks better. And you want to talk about that. Like that's the thing you're passionate about, and you should always bring your enthusiasm when you're talking about stuff, especially in person with someone when they're going over your resume, because like. Especially for portfolios, always the stuff you want to show the most. Did you work on an animation forever? Is that your baby? That is what you want to lead with and be like, yeah, well, I definitely want to talk about that. Because the more enthusiasm you show, that cements them in your mind as like they had a lot of energy, they were positive, I like that person, even if you gotta fake it for that interview. Like, interviews are like what? Like at longest, like 10, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like at longest.
Yeah, I do understand where for a lot of folks it is a very nerve-wracking experience because it's like, oh, if I goof this up, I'm not getting the job. Well, yeah, that's possible. But you just like put those fears aside for just that 10, 15 minutes, because there's no way the interview will go longer than that unless they really, really like you. This happens sometimes because I know, for example, with one of my colleagues here, they did an interview. They really liked the person, said, hey, are you available for lunch to just chitty chat about this more? I'm really digging like what you do, and I'd like to learn more. So they went out for a short lunch and then, progressed from there. But at that point, you pretty much got the job anyways. But
so one important thing about resumes is you should have a different resume for every different job you apply to. That doesn't mean like 100% different, but like different.
Yes.
So someone asked me on Twitter, like, do you send the same resume out for like applying for an acting job as you would for McDonald's? No,
Nope.
Because you won't get either if you try and combine those two things. God, like the best I could see there is like on McDonald's, like good with people, good at putting up a front, good at pretending I don't want to be dead, like that sort of thing. But every resume is like, hey, here is like my tiny little essay on why you should hire me for this position specifically. It is not, here is everything I can do, even the irrelevant things, look upon me. It's one specific thing that you are trying to get. So like always keep that goal in mind. I have a different resume for like I have a portfolio mostly, but I do have a resume for graphic design. I have a resume for voice acting. I actually made a resume for like directing one time and casting direction. But they're all different things. You can't interchange them. Sometimes there's a few things that like
overlap.
Like a lot of resumes have like an other skills section, just really tiny near the bottom. That's where you put the other stuff. Just a few things. Like that might catch someone's eye, but every resume should be for its own thing. Same with portfolios.
Yeah, I've never really understood the idea of having like a one and done resume. It wouldn't work because the jobs are so different. Like if you were applying, for example, a voice actor and a mechanic, like no, but like really, like it wouldn't work. It's just honestly, it's just kind of stupid.
You're right.
You need to have separate resumes.
Yeah. Oh, and make sure your resume is like a piece of paper, not like, or at least like one. For one thing, lengthwise, it should never be 2 pages. Just one. You can do it. Like 1.5 longest. Resumes are short. They are short and sweet. I have heard the advice never go longer than 1 page. If you can make it, like you should never go longer than that.
Yeah.
At least for the most part. There's some exceptions, but like that's the rule of thumb. Also, I was talking about this with Will earlier. So I mentioned I went to school for graphic design, and all the time the professors were like, you got to make your stuff stand out. So like, here's some examples of wonderful resumes. Like this is a swan, and it folds out into a golden singing piece of paper that they programmed in JavaScript, and like all that stuff. Like, fuck that. Just like, you need to make it a little unique, but like in the content, just like have it be a piece of paper. Don't you had like some example of don't fucking like put it in like an envelope. Don't make it special.
Yeah.
Don't,
so. Honestly, this was a mistake that I made with my interview. Because of course, college is like, you need to make sure you stand out, make sure it really looks nice. It's like, okay, cool. So they really hammered in this like dumb idea of getting this like plastic folder thing. And you put it in that. And so they've got to open this thing and then flip through, because they also wanted us to have multiple pages of just, for example, the front page was just William T. Supp, voice actor, radio guy.
Oh, like a cover letter type thing?
Not even a cover letter, because then you flip the page and it goes to a cover letter explaining all your stupid crap that you've done. And then it's the yeah, no.
This, I don't have a lot of jobs in the real world industry in terms of like office land, but personally, I don't understand the point of cover letters. They're just like resume 2.0.
Yeah, it's just an extra thing that you're making someone look at that they don't really need to. Like also, as Jello said, piece of paper. That's it. All right. Just give me a piece of paper. Don't make it black construction paper with bright blue gel pen. No, white piece of paper, looks clean.
Don't make anything black paper with blue on it. Just graphic design.
Unless you're applying to like a disco club or something, that'll make you stand out and look cool, I guess. But we're going for voice acting here.
This resume is written entirely in human proteins. You have to put a black light over it to see
Oh, man, welcome to the fitness club, man.
Why is that the voice of the... Why am I giving my resume to the bouncer? Yeah, man, come on in.
Yeah, come on, it'd be great.
Hey, I gotta call your references.
Yeah, but... And you know, by that also, it doesn't need to be just a plain white text piece of paper. You can put a couple little things on there, you know, spruce it up a little bit.
A little Brit.
Oh, a little Brit, you know, make you look real classy. Don't lemon scent it. Just keep it simple.
Like, at most, maybe get, like, go to, like, Walgreens and get some, like, ivory printer, like, resume paper, which is just paper. That's it.
Yeah, that'd be
like,
great.
That's
good.
That's all you need. Also, so I always hear people, it's like, I don't know how to make it look good. If you just fucking Google, like, resume layout, there are, like, actually hundreds of free ones. Like, some of them are just editable PDFs. You just grab them and put stuff in. You are good. Yeah, and if you don't know, like, it's hard for us to, like, we're doing this as broadly as possible. So, say you're, like, a graphic designer on your thing that I keep going back to. Like, on that resume, you would obviously want any previous experience, people you've worked with, how long you worked there. That's pretty standard, but you'd also want, here are these softwares related to this program that I've done, that I'm good with. Here are, like, other skills that I have that are relevant to this. Every job has specific little sections that you need on your resume. So maybe, like, just Google, like, mechanic resume for this, etc., etc. And that will, like, give you an idea of what you need. And if you see something that's, like, it's mostly what you want, but it's, like, it's got, like, an education section on there, and, like, oh man, I don't, like, maybe you, like, just after high school, just, like, booked it and, like, you did a bunch of good work, but you don't have, like, a degree in anything.
Yeah.
Maybe don't focus on that, to be honest. Like, so you got to customize it to yourself. Again, the thesis of this is make yourself look good without lying.
And one other thing that we're going to be repeating pretty frequently is your best stuff up front. Every time.
Yeah, like, you know how we did that stupid bit about the guy in the swamp right at the start of this? Yeah, best up front.
Yep.
Will gives enough beats. Like, I'm just cutting everything related to that, so don't fucking mention.
Yeah, and now I gotta, like, remember that while editing. Okay, am I keeping that? And if I am, I gotta keep this part. But if I'm not, I gotta cut this part.
I thought that was funny, but it sure was early in this video about being professional.
Yeah. Yeah, best up front, guys. And
yeah, right
gals.
now Will is looking through resumes for people to replace me. So
I can't replace you.
Aw.
No, not like that. We got nothing.
I'm gonna go straight into voice acting resumes.
Ooh,
because
sure.
that is something that I don't know. Do you have a voice acting resume?
I made one a long time ago, and I should edit it big time. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. I have one. I've heard a lot of things that very similar to for voice acting resumes. Very similar to, hey, don't put it on there if you're not enthusiastic about talking about it. Don't put it on there if you don't want anyone to address it or look it up. So if you are not proud of your performance, don't fucking put it on there. I've heard a lot of, like, don't put on, like, I was in this fan dub or this abridged series. That's usually not a good idea from what I've heard. Personally, I think if you've actually done, like, my resume personally has a fan work section, not for abridges. That's a little too risky. I've heard a lot in the actual professional industry, if you're sending out your resume, they do not want to see fan dubs. They do not want to see abridged stuff. Even if you're doing that and you're working on it, that's not professional looking. Because, quote, I was talking to someone, a couple people who actually, like, work in the industry about this. Quote, that looks like, oh, I just do this as a hobby. I just do this for fun, which to me is super backwards because you're spending your time doing this because you love it. But
yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
Well, and I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, there are some abridges that are incredible. So, I mean, that's kind of sad to see, but I understand their perspective on that. I really do.
Yeah. So if you're in that small crowd of viewers who have worked with Team 4-Star but still don't have a voice acting resume, then yeah, you can go ahead and throw that on there. Don't worry about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah, but my VA resume is segmented into, like, just original animation. There's a section for video games because I'm in that. I have like a couple games. You always want to put your best stuff first again. So I think video games are the most impressive for me. That's like the most, even if you have a small role, whatever, like that feels big because that's like an original thing someone made.
I would agree with that, yes. Then
like you want to follow that with original animation. Anything professional should go first, by the way. So if you've ever done like a real dub or like an audio book, put that on there. I have... just because I wanted to flesh it out a little more, I've done some, because Will manages a radio station, and I have done some stuff for you in some advertisements, so I put that on there.
Thank you.
If you've done any local work, put that on there. It's really hard, like, we'll mention this in a bit, like, you don't need a resume or a demo immediately as an amateur VA.
God, no.
We'll go into that further, but, like, you can wait a while before getting a demo reel. You don't need a resume for a long time unless you're like moving to Texas to go work at Funimation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea to at least like maybe get the gears turning to look at a resume. You know, maybe like just keep some notes down of, oh, I did this and it sounded pretty good. Just like keep track of things because there's a lot of stuff that I've done in the last couple of years. And Jello, when you said, oh, well, I'd like an audiobook or some other thing, it made me think, oh, that's right. I voiced a couple of trailers for a couple of like independent films. I completely forgot I did that, but it would probably look okay on a resume. So keep track of that stuff.
Yeah. So I would not recommend doing this, but I did want to give a example of something I did based compared to my first resume and my most recent one. My first resume had a couple of bridge things on it because I had not done that much. Especially, I had done like nothing that I myself hadn't produced, which to me, like, I don't know if I saw that as a casting director, I might raise an eyebrow. But that's probably better than nothing. So what I had was I had my role in like welcome to this, welcome to this, welcome to this for my welcome to videos, and it was always like welcome to narrator or welcome to narrator and Joe or whatever. Just to space it out, I had like all of them listed as separate things to make it look big. Now it's just welcome to series, narrator Joe, extras. Because that looks nicer. It's way better to be short and sweet than to be like, look how much I have done.
Yeah, I mean, and also the other thing is people can look at that and go, series, oh, this is an ongoing thing. Oh, that looks pretty impressive.
Really, like, think about what work you've done. Try and keep your commercial versus character work separate.
Yes.
So, you know, keep that segmented, obviously. On your resume. Oh, I also forgot you want to have contact information, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
You got your phone number, preferably a mobile one or something that you can have access to messaging. You got your email. You don't need an address usually, unless you're applying to a job that's like cross country, I guess you might want to have that on there. So mine personally as a VA, I try and brand myself in professional stuff with my own name, though I do have Brendan Blaber in big font, aka Jello Apocalypse, which is mostly to justify my email being jelloapocalypse@gmail.com.
Fair.
Yeah, so my old version of this is like, it's got all the welcome tos, now it's just one thing. I have the sections on mine, I'm just gonna read them out, are web series and animation, which is like all the original stuff that I'm in, which is very readily, you can find my voice immediately.
Right.
Video games, just the games I'm in. Then I have fan works and dubs. And then I have film, which is a really good, like, sneaky thing to put on your resume if you've ever done some shitty-ass student films, because I have done a few of those. But, like, putting your name on there, like, oh, look, they were a named character in this shitty film I'll be unable to find ever. Like, that's a good thing. Then I've got radio as its own thing. Oh, I'm so stupid. One of the first things to talk about is there's a couple, like, columns of information you want to have. Obviously, you need the name of the project you were in. And then your role. I've seen a couple where they don't have the role. That to me is suspicious. Having been on the I'm making a resume, and that feels like you were like a hey, what's up guy in the background. Like, yeah, you're in it, but like, no, you aren't.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's what you got to do. Do it. Make your stuff look better. But so I have name of series, name of the character I played, because if I don't know, like seeing like narrator or name of character, like first name, last name of character, that to me is like, oh yeah, they were a thing in that. Like that looks like real to me. And then I have the producer afterwards. So like the person who paid me for it, a company, depending if it's like a video game, And then I have Will's radio station on some of these. Stuff like that. Or the director.
Fancy.
So now we can do the fun part of the video.
Oh, yeah. The part that everybody really, really wants to know about.
Demo reels!
Yay! And for whatever reason, people think that the moment that they crack open that brand new microphone in front of them, they go, I'm going to need a demo reel. You kind of don't just yet. But if you are at that point in your voice acting career where you should be looking at one, i.e. you've gotten a couple of jobs and you are actually thinking, you know what? I wouldn't mind doing this for the rest of my life as an actual job, not just a hobby.
So there's a few types of demo reels just to go over it. There's character demo reels, which when you think demo reel as a VA, that's the one you're probably thinking of.
Most likely.
All of these are the same length about, by the way. They're like 1 minute, 1 minute period. If I see any demo reel longer than 1 minute, I start to already dislike you as a casting director. It also, generally, that's a good sign of you don't know what you're doing and you will be bad. And I have never been disproved on that by anyone who sent me a demo longer than 1 minute. I was like, nope, not what I'm looking for. So the three types of demo reel, there's a bunch of types, but the main two types are character demo reels and commercial reels. Character reels are things where it's just like, say your name, like Brendan Blaber, like something acting as a character. Now I'm a pirate, Burbity Bird. That would be a terrible demo, but you get the idea. It's
hired.
Wow, Burbity Burr, the dreaded pirate.
Ever since Captain Barboza took that bottle to the head, he hasn't been the same. I'm Captain Burbity Bird.
Yeah, so character reels are quick, like acting. You are playing characters. You want to be hired for animations, dubs, etc., video games. That's usually what actors want to be. That's usually what I call voice acting versus voice over. I don't actually think that's the real term, but that's like how I differentiate it in my head. Yeah. Whereas voiceover is more commercial. Will, you do a lot of stuff with commercial shit.
Yeah, commercial reels are all about your someday on the edge of your seat action. Things like that. This is where you're going to probably have kind of a mishmash of, for example, in one of my commercial reels, I actually started off with a very kind of different from my voice thing where it was talking about, hey, when it comes to spring, it's all about you and getting out there and being yourself. But sometimes you aren't really feeling it. And it was actually talking about like depression in a way, but it was tackling it in a more positive manner. Then we went into, oh, right now you can get ribeye steaks for $2 for $1.
What? Jesus.
It's a really good deal, or it's old and you'll die.
Just become a thief.
Just become a thief. Kill a man.
Eat his bones. Commercial reels, so you can see the difference between those two types of advertisements, and that one is stupid. No, but like there's different kinds of. Well, I mean, like the spring one was all right.
Right, I didn't know where I was going with it, but yeah, it's just a mishmash of just different announcer roles. This can also be a good place to actually put a little bit of character demo reel. This is like my idiot husband doesn't know how blinds work, and he's like stuck in them, and you can voice act that or whatever. But like those kinds of characters, the guy that never gets a name. Take for example, like the Sonic commercials, where the two guys talk back and forth. That would be a character that you could throw in there, where it's just Joe Schmo hanging out with Bob Slob.
So yeah, like, and you can hear there's still a little differentiation in character there. That's a commercial demo. You pretty much like, other than, yeah, hi, I'm some nerd going to buy a thing. You never want more than that, like character seeping into a commercial reel, and you never want, come on down to Benny's Butt Shack. No just, I think you should keep that in. Just like, no, cut to us
Come
laugh.
get a handful.
Ew. Come on down to Benny's Crab Shack and grab some crabs with your claws, or like whatever. You never want that in a character reel, ever.
No.
None of that. There's also a few other types of reels. There's animation reels. Animation demo reels are basically, say someone's done a bunch of, like, they've been in enough animations to fill a minute with their stuff. You can like cobble that together and you can make a demo reel out of that. So people can see like, oh, that's their voice in action. That's pretty cool. It also shows you have enough experience with like stuff that doesn't suck and stuff that got made, which, you know, which in the resume or in the amateur circuit, that's commendable, quite honestly. That's cool. But like, remember, I don't know, much like adding more things in your email when you're auditioning, I feel like adding stuff in an animation, like adding visuals, that's like a whole nother ball game that can be wrong. Cause I have a couple friends who've been in like old My Little Pony animated fan works, and even if their voice is really good, that's still a My Little Pony animated fan work I'm looking at, and it doesn't look great, and I know what the character sounds like, and you don't really sound like them, even though you don't sound bad. Like, do remember that, like, if you're applying to, like, assholes like me, there will, and you probably are, there will be other things you need to watch out for. Also, it is really hard to get a good, like, man, a minute of your voice animated, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like...
And more importantly, good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff is really rare. That's almost more like, hey, I'm networking. I have a lot of people here that I know that I've worked with. So clearly I'm doing something right. That's more like, to me, that shows that you're better at the social aspect than anything. Whereas, like, honestly, I just want to hear your voice. If I'm maybe going to hire you, just like, I prefer the vocal reel. Even when I see, because I've seen like professional, actual Funimation, Ocean, whatever dub people who have like their visual reel, which will be like them dubbing actual anime. I'm gonna be real, I don't like those as much as just demos. I might be in the minority there, but that's just my personal opinion.
I can honestly find them a little distracting.
Yeah.
You know, because you're trying to pay attention to the voice, but there's all this cool stuff happening on screen. You're like, oh, cool, Attack on Titan. But yeah, also the same thing is like, let's take, for example, maybe you did voice in some little My Little Pony thing, and you did a great job, but the My Little Pony thing looks kind of bad. In a voice demo, in your character demo, they don't need to know where it came from. They just need to know it sounds good.
Yeah, that I think is the crux of my opinion on it.
Yep.
It's much easier to showcase just your audio talent because that's all you're providing. So that's all that needs to be good.
Exactly.
There's also impression reels, which are just reels of you doing impressions of things. You know, like those videos of like man of 100 voices or whatever, does a bunch of impressions. And on that note, no impressions in your character demo reel. Ever. No, never. You got a good impression? I don't fucking care. Don't put it in your demo reel.
I told you my Sean Connery's really good. See, that would be really bad in a demo. And besides, no one cares if you can sound like Sean Connery unless by chance they need a Sean Connery. But that's not something that you should just advertise in your character reel.
Yeah, so here's the thing about impressions. If you are doing an impression of an actor, they already exist. Yeah. And they can be hired instead of you. Or if they're dead, then someone else already does their impression for a living if they are an impression-y person.
Take for example, Porky Pig. There was already Porky Pig guy. That's on lockdown. You don't need to be Porky Pig unless something happens to that guy.
Also, similar note, for character reels, which I think is mostly what we're going to be talking about, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Character reels.
Yeah.
Because that's the one most people need.
And commercial reels we just explain the whole thing as just bits of commercials.
Yeah. So don't do a lot of accents. I would say, accent reel, also a thing that exists. Oh,
really?
Yeah, no, you can do that. So by the way, if you have an accent or impression wheel, never have those before your character demo.
Oh, yeah.
Your character demo should be the first thing anyone sees, and then, or commercial, depends what your specialization is. And then it's also like, hey, I can also do, like, here are some other specialties I have if you need them.
Yeah.
I don't like accents in a demo. My rule of thumb is never more than one. Because if you have like a really good accent, maybe you were born in Georgia and like you kind of worked like you don't have a huge like Southern accent, but like, man, can you do one? Because like everyone in your family sounds like it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, put that in there. Like if you're really good at it. But if it's like, I can kind of do a cowboy, get that out of there. Like none of that. I mentioned earlier that your character reel should never be longer than 1 minute.
God, no.
Some people say 1:30. Those people are wrong. It should never be longer than 1 minute.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be, quite honestly.
Honestly, this goes for all reels, commercial reel, animation reel, 1 minute maximum. It can go under that. That's totally fine, but do not go over a minute. It's too long. And as we said in a previous podcast, most people are going to listen to the first 5 seconds, and if they don't like it, it's out. So why make it longer than it needs to be?
So here is another big question I've seen a million times. This is very important for character reels. Character demo reels are about showing your emotional range first, your acting emotional range, and then your vocal range second. So it is awesome if you can do a bunch of voices. I used to pride myself on doing a ton of voices. That was like my big, like, yeah, I'm a voice actor.
Oh,
I can do
wow.
a million things.
You're really
cool.
good.
Thanks. It's just, Will, you're my rock. But like, vocal range is cool, but ask any professional VA. It is so much more important to have acting range than, like, look how many voices I can do. Oh, another thing, know the difference between voice acting and doing voices.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So, like, I don't even know where to start with that, but like, know that you are acting, you are inhabiting a character, and sometimes they're sad and goddamn it, terrible things are happening to them.
Oh, you want to talk, man?
You know, you're my rock, Will.
Whoa.
Thanks, man. So that's like acting, and even if you're like kind of doing a voice when you do it, that's still acting. Whereas like doing a voice is like, oh boy, look at me over here, I'm at a party and I'm trying to impress people by doing a silly voice. That's doing voices. Don't do that in your stupid demo reel.
Oh, yeah. I remember when we were at a voice panel once. This guy's like, I can do voice like this, and everyone at the voice panel was just like, wow.
Yeah,
okay, You're just gonna open with that, and okay, cool, great.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, open with your, first of all, open with your voice. Every character demo should start, actually every demo should start with your name. So just Brendan Blaber, William Sopp, etc. Very quickly, in your own voice, just, here's what I sound like. This is my name, so you remember it. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yep.
Then your first voice, I've been told, I did not do this in my current demo reel, should also be your voice. Oh. But acting this time. That's the best. If you don't do that, it's okay. But I've been told. Majin told me that actually. That's the best thing. Is if you can do, you want to do like your best thing first. Like always, everything in this video. That's the, like, put your best foot forward. So say, my specialty acting wise is I love getting super into something and super goddamn angry, like screaming or just crazy upset. So, that might be a little intense to like come out swinging with.
I was just about to say, maybe not open with, maybe so
not that.
mad.
So here, you know, I'm going to come back to put a pin in that. So instead of that, do the voice that you get cast for all the time. So, despite what I actually look like, a thing I get cast for a lot is like no one understands me, like sad pretty boy. That's a thing I get cast for, or like protagonist, one of those two. So I would open with that, because that is the thing I get cast for. Those two things and birds for whatever reason.
Birds?
Yeah, I get
birds.
I just got cast for another bird. I have played 6 birds in different things.
Way to go,
I play
buddy.
birds a lot.
Yeah, for me, it's just the bad guy every time.
So like you like, Will knows what he's got. He's got that cool voice. So you open with something scary, and so yeah, like that's your thing, because that is your moneymaker voice.
That'll be $2.99.
No, that's a commercial reel.
Oh shit!
You fucked it up. If you can, start with your unaffected voice, or start with your like big moneymaker. I always get cast for this. This is my pigeonhole voice. This is me. After that, the thing you want to focus on is emotional range again. So, I have seen a chart before that's really good for this about emotional range. And I'll put it up on screen here if I can find it again. You want to go through the rule of thumb I've heard a few times is 6 different major emotions. So like there's a couple big ones. You want to do a sad, you want to do an angry, a like ecstatic, happy, a nervous or a scared, and then like a confused or disappointed. So that's a good range. And maybe you're not good. Maybe you just can't scream. Maybe you can't you just can't do sad for whatever reason. Then skip that one.
I'm bad at sad.
Yeah, do 2 of your best ones then. So maybe Will would have 2 different kinds of villains he could play. So you've got the big scary and the yes, William.
Yes,
scary.
all according to plan.
No, get him out of here. No. That sweaty goblin, go back to your sweaty cave. Yeah, so the other thing about doing voices is that actually I would not say is doing a voice, because that's a pretty unique voice, whereas it's hard for me to even come up with what's a stock it's a voice everyone does. So
well, it's good to see you, kids.
So yeah, scary clown, or don't do a clown. Everyone can do a clown. Everyone can do this guy from the East Coast. You don't need to put this in.
About it.
Yeah, get over here. Everyone can do that. That is not special. You don't need to do it. And again, emotion. Emotion is way more important. So
yes.
Anytime someone sends me a demo reel, because so many of them are bad, I always just have my eyes glazed over, well, maybe this will be a good one. And until I hear the I can't believe you would do that to me, sad, the sad or the angry or the heck yeah, I have energy. I'm oh, you're an actor, awesome. Yeah. Then I can actually use you. It's such a huge jump, and oh, you're a real person, and you're showing off your demo reel. I do not care what. I would rather you have one voice and all the emotional range than even 2 voices.
I've always been of the mentality, do you want 1 chocolate chip cookie or 12 raisin cookies? Chances are you want 1 chocolate chip cookie.
And if you want the raisins, you're wrong.
You're probably a fan of Benny's Butt Shack, so.
Ew.
Cut that.
So, another thing, yeah, so just banking off of that exactly, stick to the 3 things you know how to do in a few different emotions than half-assing 10 things you're okay at. A lot of people are I don't have enough to pull from to make a demo reel. You don't need anything to pull from at all.
Yeah.
I think I've made 2 demo reels, and by that I mean I have given things to Will, and he has made me 2 demo reels.
Yay!
And I think in both of those, 1 thing in each was actually from something.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, and the other ones I all just made up. That's fine, because it's not about showing what you've done. That's what a resume is for, wink. A demo reel is for showing me you can act.
Yeah.
So if you don't have anything that you're proud of, but you you can act, go ahead and just sit down and write out some things and just read them. How long should those things be? However long you make them, they should always be the same length across the demo reel. So you should never have a 4-second clip and then a 15-second clip. That's super weird, and the whole time it's just blah 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 blah. Voice number 1, voice number 2. It's still going, and the person listening to this is wondering when it's gonna change instead of listening to your acting. I don't know. Thank you. That was my half-assed Solid Snake voice.
Wow. Is David Hayter our guest this week?
Hello, I'm David Hayter on NyQuil.
Oh my God!
That might be the worst guest you could ever have, is just half-voice David Hayter on NyQuil who won't stop doing Solid Snake.
They took it away from me, those bastards.
Curse you, Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, so we're talking about demo reels today, David. Kiefer Sutherland.
Hey, remember our no impressions?
Yeah, exactly. See how shitty that
sounds? So one thing that I just want to toss in there, and maybe ironic considering how we're talking about this, don't try to be funny.
Yeah.
Because I say this all the time, you're not as funny as you think you are.
And if I can quote and also plug a Soul Brother number 3, who does an excellent series of videos on voice acting that I will show on screen here. You should check them out. I think they're all called How to Be an Online Voice Actor, and then they're followed by something. He has one on specifically demo reels. To quote him, you are, it's a demo, not a set. You're not doing stand-up. Don't try to be funny. That's not what you're showing. You're showing you can act. You're always showing you can act. You should always show what you're best at. This is a simple thing. Keep your demo PG at most. So no swears. Quote what we wrote in our notes. No swears, no fucking. So if that's your specialty, you know, even if your specialty is like maybe you do hentai games, I don't know what you do. If you got that sultry voice, then like do something PG with it. You can figure it out. Because you're going to be showing that to a lot of different people, and you don't want to make, unlike resumes, it's hard to remake a demo, really. Like, maybe you can swap one voice out, but like your demo is your demo for like a year or two.
And the biggest thing about a voice demo is we have the luxury that we can audio edit, and we kind of know how to do this. For some folks, they just aren't very good at audio editing, or they maybe just don't have the resources to do it. And you need to hand that off to an engineer. That takes a lot of time, and more importantly, it costs a lot of money. So
yeah,
you don't want to produce this up and go, man, maybe I shouldn't have just opened up with full-blown hentai. Huh. Well, I really can't fix that now. Hey, can I be in your Care Bear show coming up?
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. What do you think we're going for here? I don't know what you're going for, but I'm down for it.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
No, you're not. Yeah. Another thing, we keep mentioning putting your best stuff forward. And there's a reason you always get cast for that one voice you do. If I'm you always want to lead with that, like, do what you're best with, because if I'm a casting director, especially a professional one, and like especially now, because like I don't think there's ever been a time where voice acting has been a more popular and sought after job. Like, a lot of people are interested in it, even if it's a passing interest.
Yeah, it has greatly grown in the last, I'd say, like decade, or maybe even two, really.
And like, a lot of the companies are pretty cool. They will listen to your demos, but they're listening to a lot of demos. So, and as Will said in a previous podcast, someone in the industry told him they will not listen for more than 5 seconds if they don't like you.
Yeah.
And that is true for me too. If you open up with, "Hey, I'm going over there to the hot dog stand. Goodbye."
Actually, I would have been interested. Like, well, where's this going? I would never cast you, but I'd be like, where's this going?
Yeah, so some of the cardinal sins when I open a demo reel, anytime it's longer than a minute, I was like, oh, geez. Anytime, I really hate it when the pacing is weird. Pacing is super important, so if you can like somehow string together your demo in like a nice way that flows, and that doesn't necessarily mean like everyone in one room all talking to each other, which can be done. It's a little hard. It's really dumb sounding if you don't pull it off right, but it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done, and I honestly think it can sound really cool. But if you don't do it right, it's bad, and you're kind of dead in the water, quite frankly.
And that, by the way, is a voice differentiation focused demo reel as opposed to an acting focused demo reel.
This is true.
Not to say it can't be both, but it's definitely mostly on look at all the voices I can do. Which admittedly that is what my demo reel is. It's a lot more, here's the things I can do, over here's the things I'm good at and listen to me act.
Well, I mean, something that people ask is like, what am I supposed to say in my demo? Well,
yeah, that's a good one.
First and foremost, don't use famous quotes.
Oh my God.
Because
never do like, I'll have what she's having, or like any
the most
never do
famous quote of all.
That's it. That's the one. I was trying to think of movie quotes. Shut up.
For example, it's like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That's such a famous line. You're going to be compared to that. And also they may be like, whatever, this guy doesn't have the same acting chops as so-and-so from the 50s. This is Sparta. Okay, like, don't. If
you put any reference to a meme in your demo reel, I will delete your email and block you, by the way. If like when you're writing your own demo, like, get a friend to help you if you really need to. I don't think it's very hard to be like, even speaking as a person who can writing a demo isn't that difficult.
Yeah.
It's just think of it like, what emotion am I trying to convey? Something sad? I will write something sad here.
Also, you also wrote this down, and I think it's pretty important. Watch out for paint by numbers anime lines.
So if there's like a character archetype you like and would maybe want to play, like one I get a lot from submissions I get is I'm gonna call him Crazy Anime Guy, who's just like over the top and really wants whatever you got there, buddy. Or that sounded more like a Rick and Morty character, but like,
yeah.
So like, don't do like stock anime stuff like, I can't believe it, my sister is dead, or okay, that would
secret bloodline.
Yeah, like my secret. You mean I have the secret bloodline technique? Like, try and watch out for anything that would make someone roll their eyes.
Yes, you have the blood of a Tamagotchi.
Never have like one where you like a reel where you just speak in a different accent for one of, or not accent, a different language for one of the things. Like, just God damn it. I don't even.
I'm wicked good at Spanish. Bonjour. Like,
well, obviously, if you're that backwards, then you're fucked. But like if you can speak another language and can act in another language, hey, good for you. That's tough. But make 2 demo reels.
Yep.
Those are 2 different languages. Also, you should put that on your resume, by the way. That is a very good skill to have.
that looks amazing on a resume.
Yeah, by the way, we've mentioned this before, anything for resumes that is like similar to the field, throw it on there. For acting, the best ones are improv experience, especially if you've done it for multiple years. Put how many years? Like, that's more impressive than, I was on an improv team one time.
Oh man, it was great.
If you've ever done any directing, any like ADR, any writing, improv and theater for me are the big ones, because that's like, oh yeah, okay, they actually like put money and time into this. They're not just some guy who's like, I really liked Digimon when I was a kid, I'm gonna be a Digimon.
Ooh, Takato man.
Have you noticed I'm really bad at coming up with examples off the top of my head?
Yeah, how many improv years do you have?
Oh, 7, embarrassingly. It's easy when I just gotta come up with anything, but it's hard when I gotta come up with a specific what not to do and not call out someone specifically who has sent me demos.
Oops.
That's what the post-processing bad demo reel we're gonna make is for.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
So yeah, watch out for paint by numbers anime lines, watch out for famous lines. Just write simple stuff. If you can, like, imply a tone, like if you want your whole reel to be a little goofy, like this is like what mine was going for. There's some like, even like, I can't believe you would do that to me. Like, I don't remember what it is, but just the thank you one that ends with that's like, it's something along the lines of, you come here and you like kill my parents or whatever, something a little more serious, and then at the end's like, yeah, I did, like a little goof, because that's a more serious.
Right, I loved it. It's like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? This really shitty small rat person clearly says it.
Well, like, again, it's very it's pretty tricky to include multiple voices in one take, even if it's both you. Never have anyone else in your demo reel, by the way. Try and cut them out as much as you can. That's a good one. That's a good note. Never do that. In fact, you want to just move on to shit you should never do in your demo reel?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate this. Flat out, this is your demo reel. Why the hell is anyone else in it? This doesn't happen very often, but I'm sure it has happened where someone will listen to a demo reel and go, I don't like this demo, but that Soldier A sounded pretty good. You don't want that.
Yeah, I doubt that's ever happened. It's more like, is that a voice they're doing? No, that's a girl. What the? Okay.
She sounds good, but what?
Yeah. If you're cutting something from a project and it's like, man, that is my best delivery ever, and the line doesn't make sense without context, and it's like, my big line, context reaction, line, that's okay. But like, try not to, like, really if you can, but if it's like one word, all right.
Oh, also, no audio effects on your voice. Just don't do it. Like, I don't know if we've made this very clear with the last couple of podcasts. Do not modify your voice if you're wanting people to hear it, because that's not you. You are not robot. Okay? You're not in a cave. You are just a person. Keep it that way. Besides, then, because the other big problem is that, let's say you do put a robot voice on there, and maybe you do happen to have maybe you do have great range where you can really get that low voice. But they listen and go, well, is that just a modified voice or is that actually them? And that's not good.
So you might think like, oh, this is a robot role. Like, this needs to have a thing. First of all, no, it doesn't. The audio engineer will take care of that. Yep. Example, so in Seduce Me 2, which is made by Michaela, who we had on our previous episode. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Michaela, you're my rock. The other thing. rock fight. So, in that game, all of the demon characters, one of which I play, have a voice effect on them. I didn't know this when I auditioned, which is, I wouldn't have done anything anyway to change that. But one of the things Michaela did was, hey, I took all the people who auditioned and like the ones I really liked, I listened through their voice with the effect I have. And that helped me influence the decision. But she did that on her end. So even when there is an effect, you don't need to do anything while in your demo reel. That never sounds good.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, that's bad. God damn it. So we mentioned, I want to hit every bullet on here. So we mentioned don't do impressions. I think we've touched that, like, sometimes you'll find new voices when you try an impression of something for fun, and it's just like, oh, that's a new voice I can do. That's interesting. I've never used that part of my mouth before.
I actually remember going to a Billy West panel, and he talked about it, and he mentioned the way he finds new voices is going, I can do an okay impression of this and a pretty good impression of this. What if I put them together? And he explained how he came up with like the Dr. Zoidberg voice, which I mean is a great voice. And he just told us, no, it's just two okay impressions put together. I can't remember who they were, but it was really interesting to hear him talk about that.
Yeah. That's fine. But never go in with this as an impression, especially if it's like if you do an impression of like Stewie Griffin from Family Guy, your demo reel deserves to be thrown in a fire. But like if like a year ago you were doing a Stewie impression and you sucked at it and it sounded like something else, but it was unique and that became a staple voice you do, throw that in there. You can do that.
Yeah.
But no one wants an impression in their demo reel ever. It is like, I don't care if your big flagship voice is like, I can do a perfect Patrick Warburton or whatever. So can Patrick Warburton.
I think that's the biggest thing to push here. You may do a great impression of that. There's someone who does it better, and it's the actual person.
Yeah. And people who do impressions for a living, like if you're like Frank Caliendo or whatever, or this guy on Beard and Board Games who I feel bad. I think his name is Jason. I'm forgetting his name. They do impressions for a living. Like if you do that, that's what an impression reel is for. It is not for your demo reel.
Yeah.
So anyway, different mic quality for different voices in your demo. I don't know why that would happen. Maybe you've got some really old work that you liked and you wanted to throw in there. You should try and re-record it.
Yeah,
if you can.
possible.
Like,
Yeah.
We just have a section called the worst demo reel ever, and we're gonna make it. But putting the same clip twice. So these I've never seen this. A lot of these are just like comically inept for funsies. Another good one Will came up with is having if you've got music or sound effect in there, having it with the watermark of the site you stole it from, like pond5.com in the background. That unacceptable. Oh, but on that note, a real thing. Music in your demo reel. It is okay to have music. Actually, I think it's a good idea to have music. Should be very, very quiet, very soft. Just helps the atmosphere just a little bit. Enhances the acting. Remember, this is your vocal acting demo reel. The music should be super fucking quiet, and also it should be royalty free. Because, you never want to put, like, Nintendo music in your thing.
Oof, yeah, that would be a ballsy move.
Yeah, that would be a problem, because a lot of the people you'll be sending it to, if you're being professional, work in the industries, and some of them probably know the composers who did that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're going to lean over. Dude, is that fucking Mario? Sued.
Sued. Have a subpoena.
See you in
court. We already mentioned this. You're bankrupt and you're fucked in your car. Bum bum.
Benny Butt Cheek or whatever it was.
Betty Butt Cheek.
We are on fire today.
Oh, welcome to the worst episode of Tip of the Tongue.
Oh God. Anyway,
retakes in the middle of your clip. Jesus fucking Christ. I have seen this before. If you like stumble or anything, like, why is that in your demo reel? Your demo reel is your best stuff. Like, if you are not proud of something, why is it in your demo reel? And don't say, because I needed it to be longer, or I needed a demo reel, because no, it didn't, and no, you didn't, probably.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's something that really needs to be drilled home. It can be no longer than 1 minute. It just makes no sense to make it any longer. It's okay if it's hitting like 45 seconds or 50 seconds. I personally think that's okay. as long
That's
as
fine.
it's got good content.
Yeah. I like 50 seconds to a minute is the most like, yeah, okay. Like I would actually raise an eyebrow at 45, but like I wouldn't mark you off points for it. I would just raise an eyebrow because it's uncommon.
30 is too
Definitely
short.
better to be shorter though. And so speaking of like not having enough to fill your demo, so you got to put in your bad stuff. If you have a character that was like in something produced or a voice that you really like, or maybe it's just your voice, and say you're in a video game and there's one scene where you're really happy and one scene where you're sad, and you think you did a good job in both of them, throw both of them in there. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's really good, but space them out.
Oh, don't have them next to each other.
Oh God,
yeah,
no.
but-
Oh God, no. Yeah, make sure that the one is, let's pretend that there are 8 voices in this one. You want to say like 8, maybe
yeah,
6.
Like 6 to 10 is the 6 to 12 is the usual amount.
Yeah, okay. So let's say we've got 8 in this demo. If your happy version of that video game, put that at number 2, maybe, and then at the earliest, the next one should be at like 6 or 7. Yeah, give it breathing room. Because at that point in time, there's been so many different, maybe not different voices, but different emotions that when they get to that voice, they might not realize that it was from the game earlier. Or if they do, they go, oh, wow, it's that character again. And oh, it sounds really different now.
Again, acting over voices. People don't care about your voice or your vocal range as much as they do your acting range. It's not even a contest.
Yeah.
Another thing, like, yeah, how many things should I put in there? However many good ones you have that doesn't make it go over a minute, and you got to space them out evenly.
Yes.
So even if you got like one great clip of like 40 seconds, like the whole monologue you did, like amazing. Pick your favorite 8 or the 8 that best exemplify something.
Yeah.
And then, so you got an 8-second long thing. Now every other voice in your video or your demo should be like 7 to 9 seconds.
Yeah, keep it as close as possible to those other ones. I personally think it's okay if you've got one that might be a couple seconds shorter, not by much though. So if your standard is 8 and you hit a 6, yeah,
that's fine.
You can get away with that.
But like if you hit like a 3, that's not good enough. That's too short. It'll throw off the flow.
You killed my father. Skips to the next one.
Like that's hilarious, but not good. Yeah. Also, obviously, same shit as always. Don't have background noise. Never have your music be too loud. We already mentioned don't have other people featured in your reel, etc.
I don't know if this was mentioned earlier. I think sound effects are okay.
Sound effects are fine. Make them quiet though.
And not too many. If every one of your little voice demos has a different sound effect, that might get a little distracting. But if you have one where it's like, oh, it's a cool gunfight, like, oh, we might not get out of here, Todd. And then like 2 things later, it's someone like banging a dishwasher because it's like, it's not working. Frankie's repair, but he does an accent, so he's not getting the job.
He does an accent, so he's not getting the job is a really funny sentence to me. Do you think that's enough about demos? Do we hit most of the stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that covers everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the 2017 William T. Sopp character voice demo, written, directed, edited, and voiced by William T. Sopp.
You must be some fighter, Jimmy Starbreeze, to come this far. But now, you die.
I, James Windy Star, have been shot and am now falling.
86 years. That's how long I've been living in this shit. I've seen some downright corrupted, messed up, freaky things. And I thought I'd seen everything. But then, she came in. She had arms for days. Lanky son of a bitch. She was an orangutan.
Okay, so you know how you told me not to steal gold from the dragon?
Loud dragon sound effect.
Man, did I not listen at all?
Fire sound. I'm Captain Burbity. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna give him an offer he can't refuse. Hey, I'm walking here. When I was a little girl, I was afraid of hamburgers.
Sasuke, listen to me. You've got the blood of a Tamagotchi in you. With that, you'll be able to perform the Konnichiwa Banzai attack. You must be some fighter, Jimmy Starbreeze, to come this far. But now, you die.
Right now, when you pay the... Fuck it, let me try again. Right now, when you pay for the price of 2 items, you'll still only get 1. Bullseye. Pay more, get less. Please hire me!
So the last subject to talk about is portfolios. So whether this is your... I actually haven't seen a lot of voice acting portfolios because that's a demo reel. But that's kind of uncommon. Portfolio, someone asked me what a portfolio technically is. I think of a portfolio and a demo reel's relationship as this. A demo reel should be a really nice, like, prime rib cut of the best of your stuff, presented very quickly, like a thesis statement for the essay that is your portfolio. My favorite way to have a portfolio is like online, especially nowadays, especially if you're like an artist or an animator, which is usually who will be, or a musician. That's I think who this section is mostly for. Sorry, voice actors, you only get most of the focus and tip of the tongue.
Yeah.
So, like, if you are an artist and you have, like, maybe you have a, quote, demo reel-like thing where it's just like, here are my best few things, but you should also have, like, a website or something accessible, business card, like a little suite. A portfolio is basically, here is the best of my work, like a good number. 10 is usually 8 to 10 is the magical portfolio number for pieces, in my experience. Again, you should always lead with your best. You should also close with your second best. Same for demos. You should start and end strong, and if you can, my rule is usually, you should always have at least 3 things you're very proud of. Love yourself. Be your own rock. What? Be your own rock. That's kind of sad. So there should be 3 spikes in not spikes, but there should be 3 high points in your own mind for your demos and portfolios, and that should be at the beginning should be the best. The closer should be the second best, I think. And then about in the middle, like the 4 to 6 range, there should be another really good thing that like keeps people's interest if you're slideshowing them. If you're an artist, you might have like a big website portfolio that's got like, it could have up to like 70 things that you've done on there. It could also have as few as 3. Portfolios are a lot more, what's the word for this? They're a lot more variable than demo reels are, especially if you're a musician or an artist. So when you say portfolio, you might think of like the big artist sort of thin suitcase portfolio that you lug around everywhere. And there is still a lot of that in real life. You might have to bring a lot of your whatever you have to actual personal meetings to show people and talk them through.
Yeah.
Which will probably get you jobs more frequently than just having people stumble on your stuff online, especially if you don't have a big name for you yet. Portfolios, much like demo reels and even more so like resumes, they should be organized so that your potential employer has the easiest time looking through them. So if you've got a website, really lead it to your best stuff first. Make it very obvious how you get around, etc., etc. Say you do sculpture, say you do, I don't know, like music, whatever. You always want to bring your physical copies or whatever you have in a way that showcases them best. So sculpture, this probably won't happen, but if someone's ever like, hey, I saw your sculpture at an art show, in which case you're probably already past the point you need this video. Can I see some more of your stuff? It's like, oh yeah, I have a website, or you could come see some of my work at my studio in person sometime. Some equivalent of that with like music or art is always the best thing you can do. Because even if unless you really suck with people skills, which maybe you do, I don't know, you really want to be there because you know the best parts of all your pieces.
Yeah.
And you know how to be honest. So yeah, the big 2 types are online and in person. In person's getting less and less common. With voice acting, you will pretty much never need to do that ever. Unless you're like, in this circle, you will definitely have to like go into the studio to audition for an anime dub.
Right, of course, yeah. I think the safest thing is just keep it simple. For all of this, keep it simple.
We mentioned this way at the beginning. Be excited to talk about your stuff. No one is a better hype man for you than you. Even if you've got that like artist like, oh, my work's not that good. Yeah, that's because you know all its faults. You also know all its high points. So you really know what to show off. So say you've got like like score out of 10. So you've got like 2 10 out of 10 works that like even you were like, yeah, these are pretty good. And then you've got some like 6 to 9s in the rest of your range, which by the way, you probably want 7 at the lowest mentally if you can. If it's lower than that for you, don't put it in your portfolio. If you can't be excited about a piece, if you can't even pretend, don't put it in your portfolio. Don't show it to someone who wants to hire you. Unless they like really press you, and even then kind of be like, yeah, that's like, that piece took me like this time and I was practicing this technique, which I also did in this piece or whatever. You want to show off your stuff that you're most proud of.
Oh, smooth.
Yeah. So example for how to showcase your stuff, at my portfolio review at the end of college before I graduated, we had a big thing in Chicago that my school does where we get a couple $1,000s, we buy out a studio space, and everyone, a bunch of graphic design bigwigs from around the city in Chicagoland come on down, and like we meet with the ones who interest us the most, and you get like 3 to like 9 meetings, and you go from person to person. And what I did for mine, because a lot of my stuff is digital, even though I didn't do most of my older YouTube stuff in class, I still showed that off. I showed off the Cucumber Quest dub because I was very proud of some of the editing and that. It looks really nice. And also some videos I animated, and then just some of my stuff was web design. So it's like, hey, I have a tablet. I have programmed this so it works this way. You can now read it. You can skip through it. I trimmed the fat, so this video is like 9 minutes long. Here is 25 seconds of it that I really like. You can see the full one if you're more interested. Ooh. Always give people options. Yeah. Also, remember, similar to resume, you might need to customize your portfolio to make it appeal to all the different people you're showing it to. So, say you have like, I don't know, say you're going out for like a children's book job. Say you want to get something like that. And you have a lot of pieces that are digital, like that's your specialty, but you're thinking like, oh, this company style that like the ad, whatever they put out really meshes with how I draw stuff, even though I mostly do things digitally. You might want to try and get some more, what's the word for this? Tactile, just like in-person analog stuff that you can show them. Just like a little more like, here's my specialty, but I can also do this. Because variety is important, but you should also show what you like to do, because that's the kind of job you want, you know?
Yeah.
I guess also make sure your portfolio is organized, so not just so that people can see it, but also that, like, especially in person, if you get there and you whip out your big thing, because they're always giant, and it's like, here's all my stuff, make sure you got it ready. Seriously though, be professional with it. Don't waste anyone's time. Like, if you are like, snap to the grid, super ready, and sort of like the bad backing part of a song, snap to the grid, super ready, snap to the grid, super ready. Yeah. So the if you tickled ivory. If you ever if you like operate like a machine when it's like, here is my thing, would you like beat? Do you have anything to say on that? Can we have a conversation? That is what you want, by the way, out of resumes and portfolios, especially in person. You want a conversation, because the more you can say about yourself, the more you can pitch yourself without like just having to rely on words and how people interpret those words on your paper. Like that I find is the best way to connect with people. That's the easiest way to get a job. Mm-hmm. Also, these are job interviews.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Get ready for that.
You don't have to deal with all the like what's your best quality, though. I mean, maybe you do, but probably not with portfolios, and definitely not with demo reels.
Yeah.
Now we're going to answer 2 questions from our Twitter, which is @welcome-to-tweet. You can always tweet us questions, especially like around before when we record, so we actually see them. And we will try and answer the most relevant ones on every episode. So the first question is, at what point should content for/on a demo reel be considered outdated? That's a good question, especially since I think every 2-3 years you should get a new demo reel.
Yeah, probably.
Because hopefully you're improving as an actor. Like, mine's actually a little almost out of date by now. It's like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, I think yours is actually almost 3 years old. We made that a while ago.
Yeah, that's true. So when should content be considered outdated? When you're not proud of it anymore, I think is one thing. Like, if you nailed a monologue like 4 years ago and it still sounds good, you can keep that on there. There's no reason to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was just about to try and get your opinion on that, because I mean, there's a lot of times where, hey man, you crushed that thing years ago. Is it still cool to keep on using? And I thought it was okay, so it's good to hear that you think so as well.
Yeah, I think it's just whatever you did best at. Like, I did this guest spot in one of the Did You Know anime videos for Bakano, and I fucking did awful. Like, listening back, and I was like, wow, I sounded like I was asleep. That is terrible. But like, I have stuff older than that is really good. I don't know, I just wasn't on my A game or something that day.
Hey man, it happens.
You need to have a good sense of like how well you actually did. So I don't think most actors have an inflated ego in this circuit, so that's probably not an issue.
Yeah.
Also, like, things can also be outdated, and like, say for whatever reason you do have, maybe this is an animation demo. Say you've got like an Undertale or My Little Pony thing. I would get rid of a My Little Pony thing by now, to be honest. Yeah. I think that's dated.
And I think Undertale's kind of getting there too.
Undertale's less dated and more I'm tired of it, which is very similar.
Yeah.
But I would say 6 more months for Undertale is the last time you should make a demo reel with something on there.
Yeah.
Especially if that's another point we didn't really cover. If you put say you get a role a lot. Like, say I play Pit in a few things, Pit from Kid Icarus and like fan stuff. I probably wouldn't put that on a demo reel or ever, because that's like a voice that maybe a lot of people have done. I've also played Papyrus in 1 or 2 things. I would never put Papyrus on there because that's like a voice a lot of people have tried or whatever, you know, like that's not special. That's not you. That's you doing a voice everyone knows exists. It's not the same, but it's similar to an impression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess really just trim the fat as long as it still sounds good. You know, also, this is pretty important though, make sure that the microphone consistency is the same or very, very close.
Yeah, that's the asterisk at the end of everything we've been saying.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure everything sounds similar mic quality wise.
So, and unfortunately that means like, if you have this is why I made my more recent demo, is because I got my new mic and my old one was just, that's not the mic I have anymore. That's like false advertising and it's making myself look worse.
Yeah.
Say you have some kick-ass thing from your old mic and now you have a new mic and half your demo, it's like half and half. You got to get rid of all that old mic stuff. Sorry.
But I mean, the cool thing though, this gives you an opportunity to redo it and expand on it. Maybe you listen back and go, this sounds really great. What if I tried this? Oh, it sounds even better. So, I mean, use that to your advantage.
And then one more question. This is also a really good one. What's more important for a graduate with no experience when building a resume? Landing an entry job or accomplishing personal projects? I think it should be it's rough. It should be a combination of both, ideally. So like, I know a lot of entry projects, especially in like, entry projects. I know a lot of entry jobs, especially in like film, are really rough and time consuming. So like maybe you got to work on the set of a film, or maybe you're just playing extras in Hollywood or whatever. If you have the time and the means, you should always be doing personal projects in the fields you love.
Yeah.
That is, I've gotten some questions like, how do you become successful, period, especially like subtitle on the internet. And other than lots and lots of luck, the big thing is you should always love what you're doing and do what you want to do, because you'll get better and better at it. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the things that I've like successfully applied to, whether it's voice or art wise, I've shown my own stuff that I made in college that was not for classes. I just did it in my free time. And once you do something on your own with personal projects, that's something you can do forever. It's all about twisting that into like, yeah, this is a thing I did. This is a cool thing that it doesn't matter if I did this for money, I did it. And it like, if it looks good, goddamn, that might be better than anything job wise. Though honestly, having an entry job is like the safety net that will eventually, if you work hard and get lucky, pop you up. Whereas honestly, if you only work on personal projects, especially if you have a bad work ethic or you're just in a problematic life situation, like you're low on money or you have like other problems, that has no guarantee, I would say.
Yeah. If you can do both, that's great. And I don't know, maybe you can attest to this, maybe not. I think it's definitely better to go for an entry-level job first and then do your personal project on the side, because if your entry-level job is really tough on you, you can do that personal project to kind of like motivate you again of like why you're doing this. You know, it's like, well, this job it's not really doing it for me, but man, if I can make this personal project work out really well, or I can, you know, get further with this entry-level job and maybe become an assistant for so-and-so, and then be like, hey, buddy, see my cool comic, Cornucopia, or whatever, then you can really expand from that, you know. But like Jello said, if you just only do personal projects and things don't pan out, you're kind of boned. Lack for a better, you're kind of boned.
Yeah, I do know a couple of friends who are like, yeah, I'm working on this big thing. It's really gonna work, and it's like it didn't. So that can happen. You said I don't know what you feel like if you have anything to say on what you just talked about. For me, it's tricky to be like, you should get an entry job first, because personally, I have always done personal projects since I was like 6. But I know that's not the case for everyone. But personal projects are where most of your practice comes in. Because again, a lot of entry-level jobs are just like fetching the coffee for director Bigwig Johnson. And you're not actually getting better there. You might be learning lingo, you might be learning connections, which is super important. But if you really want to get better, usually personal projects are the way to go. My big philosophy, this is my work philosophy, you should always have your life segmented into 3 categories. There should be work, whatever that is for you. For me, it's YouTube. So this is basically, that's my work projects. Because honestly, most days I am not super thrilled about working on them, but I do it for money. Then I have personal projects, which right now is Anime Campaign or Cornucopia or whatever. And even if they're the same amount of work, even if the personal project is more work, you always want 2 things. Because then when one is giving you trouble, you can like use the other as your recreation and leisure, because that's the fun thing you like doing. And what's cool about my job is that I like all my stuff, even my work can function as
fun.
The fun getaway project. But you can always make yourself one. And then the third category is flat out resting. So you should always, if you can, sometimes you can, my personal philosophy, you should always try and split your life into thirds. So like 6 to 8 hours of each of those every day if you can. So if you've got the entry-level job and then you come home and then you like some days you rest and the other half of the days you work on your own thing, that's great. Because remember, you can always put whatever you do on your resume somehow, and it always gives you something to talk about. And that was my half-hearted way of bookending this so we could bring it to a close. Thank you guys so much for supporting everything we do. We couldn't make this podcast without you. Will just scrambled home from Canada so we could make this before the end of the month. Without further ado, we'll thank our top 10 patrons, who are The Squirrel Queen,
Red Brawl,
The Luckiest Gravy,
James Mulvey,
Oliver Fines,
Hollery Clibben,
Noobmaster 117,
Michael Walker,
Clark Kent,
and our top donor, Nick.
Thank you guys so much once again. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have any questions, any ideas for future topics you'd like to hear us talk about, comment on the video below. Send a message to our Tumblr or Twitter. The Tumblr is just jelloapocalypse.tumblr.com. Twitter is @welcometotweet. Or follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/jelloopocalypse. And I believe that's it, so thank you so much.
Toodles.